Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's edition of Trump News from Trump Revolution, featuring Ivo Fisic, your friendly underground reporter. Today's date is January 25th, 2017, day 6 of the Trump Revolution. On this episode, we'll cover Trump calls the bluff of bluff callers, Kellyanne Conway gets death threats, Obama's last-minute gift rescinded by Trump, and build the wall, and finally, we end with resistance is futile. And now, our top story. Media calls bluff. Trump calls media's bluff when he calls for election fraud investigations. Yesterday, President Donald Trump made a charge that up to 3 million quote-unquote illegals voted in the 2016 presidential election. During the press conference with Sean Spicer later that day, the Progressive Party press went into a feeding frenzy, believing they finally found something to catch the president on. Well, they must have received their marching orders, because multiple quote-unquote reporters attempted to hammer Spicer on the statement by President Donald Trump. They called out, as one Progressive Party press voice, "Well, if that's true, then why aren't you calling for an investigation, smarty pants?" Yeah. Turns out the Progressive Party press was being set up once again by President Trump. He lured them into a trap with this bait. "Here's a statement that seems reckless. Go ahead and call my bluff on it." And so the party Progressive press duly complied, swallowing the bait hook, line, and sinker. Their attempt to call President Trump's bluff opened the door wide for the president to come back the next day and say this. Well, tweeted this. "I will be asking for a major investigation into voter fraud." Oh no! Including those registered to vote in 2 states. Here's the big one here. Those who are illegal, and even those registered to vote who are dead. And many for a long time. Depending on results, we will strengthen up voting procedures. Boom! It's always convenient when your enemy is so predictable. In addition to winning yet another battle with the Progressive Party press, the victory will cause the Progressive Party press to ask itself this question the next time they see what they believe to be a tempting opening to discredit the president. Are we being set up? What happens to a puncher that gets counterpunched over and over again? They throw less punches. So, they'll have to choose between throwing less punches or continuing to get clocked by yet another presidential counterpunch. Folks, it couldn't happen to a nicer group of people, if you ask me. Trump lays down the law on Chicago. President Donald Trump sent out a tweet last night that sent a shockwave across the Progressive Party press. Of course, a Trump tweet that triggered progressive trolls is really not all that rare, frankly. But here's the latest. This is what Donald Trump said in his tweet. "If Chicago doesn't fix the horrible," and he puts this in quote, "carnage going on, 228 shootings in 2017 with 42 killings, up 24% from 2016, I will send in the feds." In the wake of former, I love saying that, President Obama, and former, love saying that too, Attorney General Loretta Lynch calling on bringing in the feds to clean up police departments over alleged acts of racism, see Ferguson and Baltimore. It is rich to see progressives now calling the president a tyrant for doing what their president had been threatening to do. Now, folks, whether you are for or against this move by President Trump, you cannot help but love the irony of seeing so many progressives now indignant that their president would call in the feds, so to speak, to clean a city up. See, folks, their problem is not that federal power would be used to bring a city to heel, but that federal power would be used to stop gun violence and not to simply empower their social justice, cultural, Marxist agenda. Kellyanne Conway gets mysterious package of white powder. What do you hear from the media? Crickets. Donald Trump's campaign manager and current counsel, Kellyanne Conway, was on Fox News last night where she revealed some startling things. Conway is calling out the Progressive Party press on their ruthless tactics to demean, invalidate, and even incite violence against anyone who dares oppose their progressive agenda. On Fox News' Hannity show, Conway told Hannity that we let the pull press in, and immediately the print puller sends out the pull report that the MLK bust had been removed. It is false. I don't want to say his name publicly because I don't want him to get attacked like I do. She then dropped a far more disturbing piece of information when she said, because of what the press is now doing to me, I have Secret Service protection. We have packages delivered to my house with white substances. This is a shame. That's right. This is exactly what the Progressive Party press does. They seek to discredit you first, and failing to do that, they seek to silence you by making you afraid of the dogs of progressivism they set loose with their hateful rhetoric. This is why we refer to folks such as the Progressive Party press as being part of the progressive hate machine. For this is what they do. And remember, folks, progressives adopt a by any means necessary philosophy. This is why they're so much more prone to act out violently against those who oppose them politically than conservatives do. We extend our prayers to Kellyanne Conway that she be protected from these progressive assaults and that she not be cowed by fears of these progressive hate machine rabble-rousers, the Progressive Party press. Obama's last-minute gift to terrorists gets frozen. In the last days of his administration, former President Barack Obama attempted to leave a last-minute gift to the Palestinian Authority, despite its known ties to terror organizations like Hezbollah and Hamas. Former President Barack Hussein Obama left the radical Muslim organization a gift of $221 million. It was a sweet gesture to some, but to others, not so much. Never too shy to walk head-on in opposition to the progressive agenda, President Donald Trump wasn't going to allow that late-minute attempt to send your tax dollars over to support an organization with known terrorist ties to go unchallenged. The Trump administration announced it would be freezing the move pending a review by the State Department, one that will no longer be led by the long-faced progressive hate machine operative, John Kerry. The funds are ostensibly to help in the reconstruction of Gaza and for quote-unquote good governance programs. Were they actually used for those purposes, there might be more of a serious consideration of whether or not to send such aid. But no one outside of the progressive hate machine's inner circles is buying that excuse. In other words, President Obama, former President Obama, nice try, but not going to work. Trump promises wall is coming. That's right, folks, the wall is coming, and I think you know what I mean when I say the wall is coming. President Trump sent another strong message through Twitter yesterday when he tweeted this: "Big day planned on national security tomorrow. Among many other things, We will build the wall. Okay, he didn't say that. He tweeted it, but you can imagine him saying it like that. To that end, 2 executive orders will be signed today, one which will call for a larger physical barrier. That language is very important. On the U.S.-Mexican border, and another that will restore the Secure Communities Program, a program that is designed to assure that local law enforcement enforce immigration policies. In an interview on ABC News today, President Trump said about the start of the building of the promised wall as soon as we can physically do it. I would say in months. Yeah, I would say in months. Certainly planning is starting immediately. Congressional laws already exist that allow for the creation of a border barrier, so no new laws are required to be passed. Those laws have been ignored and not funded since they were created. The Fence Act, passed on September 29th, 2006, by a vote in the Senate of 80 to 19, authorizes. Due to this law, which has never fully been executed, President Trump is able to order the construction of the promised wall with an executive order alone. The Fence Act allows for the construction of a barrier along the 700-mile Mexico-U.S. border. The act was signed into law by then-President Bush. It is intended to decrease illegal entry, drug traffic, and security threats. The barrier is only identified as a physical barrier. And that's where we get back to the beginning of this story, where President Trump used that term, physical barrier. Protesters raise a resist banner on D.C. crane. The D.C. crane protest began and ended today with a few Greenpeace activists interrupting people who were actually doing something literally constructive. They climbed high atop a crane just a few blocks from the White House, with the Progressive Party press duly following behind. So many national and local news Facebook pages chose to live stream the dramatic protest, as a few, either paid operatives or people of privilege who don't have to actually work for a living, climbed up the crane, preventing workers from doing their jobs. The drama was riveting, except it wasn't, when you consider that a lot of attention was being paid to a couple of people climbing a crane to unfurl a flag. That's right, that's what they're doing, unfurling a flag that said, resist. Now, where were these now sudden anti-gov leftists when the former president, I love saying that, Barack Hussein Obama, was bombing children in Syria? Crickets. Where were they when the Obama regime allowed Mexican drug thug kingpins to get weapons that were used to kill people with? Crickets. But now, less than a week into President Trump's presidency, they see the need to unfurl a flag that says, resist. Cute, lefties. But somehow we doubt that President Trump will be cowed, that his team will be swayed by your token flag of resistance. When you resist, what you resist is the dismantling of a heavy-handed, anti-liberty, anti-American machine, the progressive hate machine. What you fear is that your time is over and our time is now. What you know is coming is a reckoning, an accountability for the last 8 years where you gave a pass to the regime that used the heavy boot of government to step on the necks of your opponents. And you were perfectly fine with that. Resist all you want, progressives. Resistance is futile. Thank you for joining us on this Trump News Report featuring Ivo Fisic. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the Trump News Report from the Trump Revolution. Find out more about the Trump Revolution at TrumpRevolutionUSA.com. That's Trump Revolution USA.com. Deplorables welcome.